Hello, writers. Come write with me. My name is Mykela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventures. Welcome to my channel, Write with Mykela. I'm very excited to have you on my channel, so don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can go on this journey with me. Next Wednesday, not tomorrow, next Wednesday, Wednesday the 18th, we are adding book club episodes. The first, I've already told you, the first book will be 1984 by George Orwell. I will not be reading the chapters to you, but I will summarize and discuss what happens in the chapters. Now, today, Tuesday, we're going to discuss some terms or ideas, and then we will add to a down soldier. The first word that we are looking at today is sultry. Sultry as an adjective means an air or weather that is hot and humid. Some synonyms are humid, close, airless, stuffy, stifling, suffocating, muggy, sticky, sweltering, tropical, torrid, and a few more. A second definition, also as an adjective, means suggesting or expressing a passionate or strongly sexual nature or attraction, often suggesting a hidden desire and often characterized by a certain look, voice, or movement. Some synonyms are passionate, attractive, sensual, sexy, voluptuous, seductive, alluring, and a couple more. Now, we can look at the first meaning of hot and humid weather, which we get down here in Texas. And we can imagine how this term evolved to describe people or atmospheres that feel warm, intense, and sexually exciting, because that's what words do. They grow or they change. So you have the hot, and then you think of the bedroom, the hot bedroom. So the word can grow. How can we use this in our stories? Well, of course, the first definition has to do with your setting. You could have a setting in a desert or in a tropical rainforest or the city with the electricity or air conditioning out, like we had during, was it Barry? I don't know. Some hurricane. We lost electricity for over a week. I think it was like 10 days. It was so hot, so sultry. We're in Texas. We can have a lot of hot weather. So, it could be your setting. You are the writer. And you can't forget your setting. That's important. You have to set up. You can go back to season 1 and look at those kinds of things. The setting, the theme, the mood, all those things. We need those things in our story. You have to set things up. Chapter 1 of this, a lot of chapter 1 of this was just setting things up. Partly because we have to get into that world. So the setting is very important. Now, the second definition, where you're expressing seductive or sultry behavior. Could such a character lure another unsuspecting character into a trap? Could such a character throw I think I spelled the wrong one of that. Okay. Could such a character throw the investigator off of their tail? Those would relate to hidden desire. Do you have a romance in your story? There could be romance. Even in a murder mystery. There was romance in the Sookie Stackhouse series. And some of the female vampires were definitely sultry. Sookie tended to be a little bit more conservative, at least in dress, and most of the book was in her perspective, so as she described herself, she was more conservative. And she would describe the female vampires and stuff like that. So you could have a character on the dance floor, just enjoying the music, but someone watching thinks their dance moves are sultry, and then they make a pass, idiom alert, at that character. Or maybe the character tries to act sultry, but misses the mark. You could put that in a comedy where someone is trying to act sultry and trying to distract a cop or investigator, but maybe the character is a little frumpy and isn't seductive at all. So play around with it. Just because somebody tries to do something doesn't mean they're doing it. And you, as the writer, get to decide if they hit the nail on the head, idiom alert, or not. Our next term is nuanced. Nuanced as a noun is a subtle or slight difference in or shade of meaning, expression, or sound. Some synonyms are shade, gradation, variation, modulation, degree, subtlety, nicety, refinement, or overtone. In our stories, do we need to get down to the granular level to describe nuances? In murder mysteries, we definitely do. One detail versus another could help you solve the crime, or help your character solve the crime. In my science fiction series, Operatives, the operatives need to pay attention to nuances because aliens, I have aliens in this story, aliens can look like the humans in their group. So they have to know each other well, including mannerisms, so they can pick out if that's really the operative in the group, or is that really an alien that is infiltrating our group. We had that term, infiltrate, the other day. Snow Dogs is a movie with a dog sledding, where you can't just read a book and hook the dogs to the sled. So the guy inherits the dogs, and he reads the book, and he's gonna go sledding, and he starts hitching up and one the ladies from the town that was there at the reading of the will or whatever, and she was friends with the mother. She's like, "What are you doing? You can't put that dog here. You gotta put that dog there." So the nuances in the dog's personality dictate where Dr. Brooks needs to hitch the dogs to the sled. And she was just like, "You really are city boy." You got to put Demon in the front. You got to put these two in the back. So she rearranged the dogs for him so he could go sledding. So, but those little nuances, he didn't get that from reading the book. In Total Recall, the doctor tries to tell Douglas Quaid that he is back at the clinic. He needs to calm down. He's back at the clinic. Something went wrong with the installation of the Mars vacation trip, because they were putting a chip in his brain, or a program in his brain, so that he felt like he went to Mars. And he's like, something happened. You're still at the clinic. We're fixing things. There's no need to worry. But the nuance in that, Douglas Quaid sees a bead of sweat rolling down the doctor's face, and knows that wouldn't be there if the clinic truly projected the doctor into his mind. If the doctor is just an image in his mind, he's not going to see the sweat. So that was a nuance, and that little bitty detail told Douglas Quaid the truth. In Stargate, the nuances are the symbols and the order the program selects them. Each different sequence of 7 symbols is a possible address to another planet in another galaxy. If you put the wrong ones in, or you put the wrong order, you might be going to a different place. So leave a comment on a nuance in a show, book, or movie where the nuance made a difference. And if you can describe it, please do so. Description is a good exercise for writers. If you are having trouble with, getting a story going in your head, then you can pause your writing for a little bit and start just describing a scene. Go out to the mall, or go out to a restaurant, or just watch people, and then come home and then write what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you felt, the temperature of the room, everything. Just kind of write that description, because that's a good exercise. Because we need to be able to, if we're writers, we need to be able to wordsmith, right? We need to be able to put things in words to describe things. So those are examples of nuances, but there's another nuance. What happens when a show or movie series replaces one actor or actress with another? It's still the same role. It's still the same character. But sometimes the new actor or actress ruins it for me. In the Mummy movies, they changed the female actress in the 3rd or 4th one. I'm not really sure. And I think it probably depends on if you count the Scorpion King as part of that series. And it took me a while watching the movie to get used to the new actress, because she wasn't moving the same way. She wasn't talking. I mean, they had the same script that the other actress would have read, but it's just all these little tiny details that we pick up as humans when we watch other people. So it took me a while to get used to the new actress. The Dark Knight switched an actress. In the Batman series, they replaced an actress. In Roseanne, they replaced an actress. James Bond, Dracula, Sherlock Holmes, all had various actors portray the main character. Several different actors played Jack Ryan. So leave a comment on a show or movie where they changed the actor or actress for character, and if it changed how well you liked the show or movie. And please name the show or movie and the character that received a new face. Now, sometimes, like, I know in Stargate, the show didn't seem to be as good when Daniel Jackson wasn't there, but they didn't write a new Daniel Jackson, and he was just like going to see his mother, his sick mother or something, although later on you know that his mother is passed. So they wrote in something to, Daniel's going to see, maybe it wasn't his mother, maybe it was his aunt or something. Daniel went to see his aunt, he'll be back in 6 weeks or whatever. They wrote something in there so that it wasn't like they kept Daniel Jackson's part in there. So they left Daniel Jackson out for a little bit. They left this character out for a little bit. And later on, I actually read an article that said that, these characters, these actors were very grateful and appreciative that they let them attend to their lives and their business and stuff like that, like they needed to. So that was different. That's not the nuance I'm talking about. I'm talking about when a person plays a different person plays the same character. Leave a comment on if you have nuances in your stories that you are writing. Do you have tiny little details that change? Now, let's turn to your stories with a down soldier. First, remember, all works shared on the channel are copyright protected, so there is no worry. Send in your writings to writewithmykela@gmail.com. I look forward to reading your stories on the channel. We've written on this 25 times. We started the story in season 3.1, episode 11. I will list the rest of the episodes in the details below. Now, if you remember back, the first writing prompt was to kind of imagine a soldier that came to after a big battle. And I told you that he could come to in an ambulance, he could come to in the hospital ward, he could come to in a surgery, he could come to on the battleground, he could come to in a ditch where his buddy had moved him to be off the battleground. Just wherever you imagined it, then the soldier came to after a big battle, and he looked around, and we went from there. Well, we don't have a shared plot for this, but I hope you're having fun. I hope you have an intriguing protagonist, and an active goal or problem, and you have tasks of some kind. Plus, ticking clock. Gotta move the story along. And all of that is interrelated and building to a climax. And we discussed interrelated in season 1. We discussed climax in season 1. Well, these are the elements to a good story, along with some good editing. First draft is not a final draft. So, pause the video and write a page or two, or at least a paragraph. A lot of writers aim for 500 words a day, so see if you can use this writing prompt to meet your own personal writing goal. And then come back, and I will read what I wrote. Welcome back, writers. Let me read what I wrote. Kemet looked down in his hands and was going to turn back to leave the book and glass in the seat of the throne. Wavisthur asked him what he was doing, and he held up the items and told Wavisthur that he was leaving them for Vicanthace. Wavisthur shook his head. No, you will need them. You will first say a protection over the kingdom that prevents the dark magic and necromancy from entering it. Kemek's heart skipped a beat, but he hurried to the armor. Kemek, I probably should say armory. Kemek started helping Moss, but then several other people started helping them. Some introduced themselves, but others would say things like, "Let me help with that." When they arrived at the stable, 2 horses stood in front of several rows of mounted men. Kemek mounted his horse and turned towards the soldiers. The soldier or general that had run into the court said, "My lord, will you say the blessing over us?" Kemek said, "Of course." Then he looked down at the book in his hands. He could feel the ground shaking beneath him and his horse. He had missed the tunnel walls sliding down, but he realized everything was brighter than when he had gone into court. He fumbled with the book, and he found a page that said blessing when he used the glass. Kemek glanced over to Wavisthur, and Wavisthur nodded. Kemek felt like he should raise his arms to say the blessing, but he had the book in one hand and the glass in the other, in another, in the other. I think that should say the other. He quickly read the passage and then placed the book and glass between his body and saddle horn. He raised his hands and said the blessing aloud. After they went down the stairs, they came to a dusty chamber with books and barrels. "Oh, no," said Jules. "I'm supposed to play the drums for your dad. I have to go back out." Vicanthace smiled kindly. "No, you are not going back out. Our current enemies don't respect the drummers as they should. Besides, I believe you are son now and not drummer." Jules' face lit up with a huge smile. "Oh, thank you, miss," he said. A few elegantly dressed women in colorful robes came in the chamber from other tunnels and inquired what they could do to help. Vicanthace looked around at all of them. She wasn't sure, but she asked what was possible for them to do. She learned about the aqueducts and the food storage and a place for injured soldiers. Vic and Thace decided they should start the aqueducts first, and then get the area ready to receive any injured soldiers. She asked how exactly they were to get the soldier down to the area. The women showed her to an underground fountain. They told her the next queen would watch the fountain and tell them where the injured soldiers were. The manservants would assist the women in getting the soldiers. Vic and Thace had been queen in her city or village, but you didn't just move to another city or village and become queen there. She said, well, I don't know who will be queen here, but I can usually see images in a fountain. Burdock helped turn on the aqueducts, and he gathered water for Vic and Thace and the children. The children sat on the benches around the fountain. They remembered Miss V teaching them, so they also looked in the fountain. Sartla saw her father on a horse, and she saw golden dust settling over a lot of men, including her father and all the horses. She suddenly wished she knew a prayer to say over her father. The rabbit thought to her the words she should say. The ground started shaking in a different way, but the men before Kamek didn't turn their horses toward the incoming army. Kamek saw the lizard people out of the corner of his eye, but he had Wavisthur's thoughts in his head to stay calm and finish the blessing. Kamek finished the blessing and lowered his arms. He didn't have time to put the book and glass in a pouch, so he slid them down in his boot as he watched the most amazing thing. The lizard people that were coming to the outermost The lizard people that were coming to the outermost of the troops jumped up to slash, but as they came down, they were people, simple people, in normal clothes. The soldiers cut those that jumped at them down, and then held the line. A few of the people stamped their feet, and several raised their arms. They started their chants. Kamek wasn't sure what would happen. He received thoughts from Wavisthur that told him the chants were trying to reenact the dark magic, and the only way they could reenact it with the protection in place was to claim a harm. Kamek sighed to himself. He moved his horse between a few soldiers and closer to the edge, but there were still several rows of soldiers between him and the people. Kamek watched, and he saw blue vapor coming down into several people. He remembered Sartla repeating the words from the book and seeing the arm and hand disappear and blue vapor rising, but he didn't think this was the same good sign he had seen before. "Get ready," he called out. "Know in your heart that we protect the injustice they claim against us." We protest, not we protect. We protest the injustice they claim against us. Then Kamek saw the woman he had seen before. She seemingly floated. The woman called out, "The injustices are old and great. You should have let the girl pray. Now we will have our revenge." She sank down in the crowd, and as she did, she was once again a lizard person. As soon as the first lizard people moved against the soldiers, the war was on. Kamek watched the soldiers. They were well trained. He also realized that the horses also had armor. Moreover, the soldiers fought with magic and sword. The lizard people fought with claws and magic. The soldiers would use magic to chop off the extra long claws before they used their swords. Still, the lizard people could jump really high and were deadly accurate when they came down. Kamek had a hard time concentrating because he saw blue vapor floating to him, and as the blue vapor entered his mind, it listed a wrong against the lizard people. Kamek would then hear Wavisthur in his mind disputing the wrong. Kamek glanced back over his shoulder, and he did not see the wizard or overseer of ceremonies. The book became hot inside his boot, and he knew the words to protest the wrongs were in the book. Yet it seemed utterly stupid to reach down for the book. Kamek still had soldiers before him. So he chanced grabbing the book. To his astonishment, he didn't need the glass to read the words. Kamek said the words, and the area where the lizard people changed back to people enlarged. The soldiers pressed forward to the boundary. Kamek received some more blue vapor and thoughts from Wivistor stating history and reasons for the next dispute. Kamek recited more words. The soldiers at the front lines were still getting cut down. Vic and they saw soldiers fall. Some she knew were dead instantly, but for others she didn't know how to tell the ladies where the men were. One lady told her to look for stone plaques with numbers. Vic and they saw them and told the numbers. Several ladies and male servants headed down the tunnels. It would be tricky to get the soldier in the tunnels, but they hoped prophecy was true, and their kingdom would grow to the size it once was before the lizard people. Okay, writers, that is what I'm adding. The word count was 1280 words. Leave a comment on Kamek wanting to leave the book in glass for Vic and Thace. Why do you think he wants to do that? Would that have been a good idea? Leave a comment on Jules thinking he needed to play a drum for Kamek as Kamek fought. Leave a comment on where did all the soldiers come from. Leave a comment on the lizard people rebuking the blessing or listing harm done to them. So we've talked about all kinds of things, all kinds of vocabulary. So are their harms legitimate, or are they brainwashed harms that they think they have? So just leave those comments. Join me Friday for Princess and Norwin and Staggerguard. Join me Tuesday for a little jargon and adding to your story with a setting. And let's see, I think Wednesday, I don't know if it's this Wednesday. It's March 18th, Wednesday. We will be summarizing Chapter 1 of 1984 by George Orwell. The version I'm reading is Signet Classic. Leave a comment on which story is your favorite so far. It could be your favorite that you are writing, or your favorite on the channel, or favorite you have read. Also, leave a comment on what you are currently reading. Now, when I wrote this, I was reading Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. It was the first book in the Farseer trilogy. It started rather slowly, and the chapters were very long, so I was reading half a chapter at first. But then near the end, I read several chapters, and I didn't want to put it down when I was getting near the end. And so then, of course, I went on to Amazon to order. A lot of times I order just the first one, even if they have a whole big pack of them, because it's like I want to know if I'm going to like it first. And so the second one was $35. And I see right above that selection, there's 3 books, all 3 in the trilogy for $45. I was like, oh my gosh. I don't want to buy number 1 again, right? Because I just finished it. But I did, because the third one was $54. And so $45 was less than 35 plus 54. So I got all 3 books. I haven't started it. I did get them in the mail, but I haven't started it. And I also recently, I told you I finished Still Life by Louise Penny. Now, this is the first book in the Chief Inspector Armand Gamache series, which seems to have 20 books. I'm not really sure. I purchased 1 through 5 as a set. And I think I have 3 other sets in my cart at Amazon. So I have those. So I finished that. That was good. I enjoyed that. The two are different. Like the Assassin's Assistant is like, it's like a much older setting for sure. Like, I don't know, 1200. It doesn't have a date because it's in a whole different world. It's not Earth. And there's magic and stuff like that, but there's still the king and the knights and the stable boys and the peasants. So there's hierarchical society and stuff like that. So it was a good read, but the Still Life is more modern day society, but it's just a small town. So, and I will read the second one of both of those series for sure. Also, I told you I read Psycho Shifters, and a few days ago, Psycho Shifters sent Psycho Fae to me. So I thought I had read chapter 1 of that in the back of Psycho Shifters, but when I started that book, it wasn't. So I was really tired, so I didn't finish chapter 1 of that. But I will read that one too. But now I have added this 1984. I've read 3 chapters. I've written 2 scripts. I read script for chapter 1, chapter 2, and I have notes to write the script for chapter 3. So I'm reading that, so I can write my scripts for that. I have to read the chapter, read one chapter, write a script, read the next chapter, write a script, so on, because I don't want to summarize more chapters and confuse people. Oh, almost forgot. I'm also reading 6MX by Chase Hughes. This book is fascinating, and as writers, we should read it. I just pushed a button I shouldn't have. Okay. We should read this because it talks about, the eyes look this way or that way, and what to tell about it. If the lips are compressed, or just all kinds of things so you can kind of tell about people, and you can write that, you can weave that into your story. So I'm not reading that a chapter a night because I want to practice some things about reading people before I get to the next skill. Already I've read too many chapters, and so I probably will read this book 2 and 3 times. But as writers, we need to know people. We need to know psychology. We need to know how people interact with other people. So the 6XM or the 6MX kind of tells us how to look at people, how to read people, how to kind of understand people. And then psychology kind of tells you how people think, how they interact together, that kind of thing. So as writers, we need to know those things. Oh, leave a comment on if you recommend a book or author. Also, have you read any classics that you would recommend? After 1984, I'm thinking The Lord of the Flies. So I have it already. I've ordered it. Whoops. Lord of the Flies. So, but if you recommend a different classic, you have a different classic you want me to read, then let me know. Animal Farm would be good. Flowers for Algernon would be good. Those are thin, I think. Then you maybe something like Moby Dick, but I think that's thick. A Pride and Prejudice, that's thick. So there's a lot of classics out there that we could read. So just if you have a suggestion, please let me know. And if you have hints on how to summarize or whatever these chapters, or you have guidance for this, then let me know, because I'm just now undertaking this. And all the while, don't forget to visit my website by Mykela.com. Read some character bios. Send your writings and chapters to writewithmykela@gmail.com. Leave comments on your favorite characters. if you hit the like and subscribe and the bell, and we will continue to write together, and other people will have a higher chance of finding this video and this channel, since your likes will push the video out to a greater audience. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your participation. Know someone who would like this video? Please share it with them. This is Mykela with Write with Mykela. Bye for now.